Hey, how goes it, everybody? This is Eli, another installment. This one is going to be another heads-up video. Only this time I'm going to be playing or viewing a session I played with a more aggressive heads-up regular, and I'm just going to go through basic strategy on how to deal with these guys. Here in the first hand, I 4-bet with King Queen. King Queen's probably going to be amongst the bottom of my 4-bet range that I'm going to be 4-betting for value and not a bluff. So I make the C-bet on that board. It's going to be really hard for my opponent to make a hand. So he folds and I pick up the pot. Here with Deuce 8, this hand's too weak to fold. I'm sorry, it's too weak to call. But I would prefer to just fold instead of 3-betting, because almost every single flop you see with Deuce 8 is going to be one that you have to make a stone cold bluff on. Ace 8, go ahead and raise it up for sure. He 3-bets, but he 3-bets very, very small, and for a lot of players that's indicative of a very strong hand like queens, kings, and aces. He checks here though. We have backdoor straight draw and backdoor nut flush draw, so I'm fine with checking back here. We pick up the flush draw on the turn, and so I definitely like a bet here. And so he folds. So that's something that we want to take note of when you see something like that, when they 3-bet very small and then they just check fold. That's definitely something you want to look for. You could call there with the 5-7. I think he could have, or I could have called there. Here at the ace deuce, I believe I raised it. Yeah. He goes ahead and re-raise. Calling or 4-betting is fine. 4-betting would be kind of bluffish because the ace deuce doesn't really play well. This is going to be a board that hits his hand a lot harder than it's going to hit my range, so raising wouldn't make any sense, and I'm not drawing to anything, so calling doesn't make any sense either, so calling or folding was the right play there. Here, I hope you guys are noticing, he's raising every single hand, so you're going to want to 3-bet a lot wider range of your hands, or else he's just going to run you over. And as you can see there, he has a tendency to, while it's not very frequent, he does have a tendency to 3-bet fold. He's going to 3-bet and then fold to a 4-bet, or 2-bet and fold with 3-bet. Here I called and we flop a pair. When you're playing heads up against someone, especially if you're playing someone very aggressive, a pair is very powerful, and so pardon me. So getting a pair is very powerful. So we flop a pair here, we get raised, and we go ahead and call. The turn is very bad for our hand. He could definitely be raising with 5-6 of clubs, or any number of 5-6 hands. When he checks the turn, it almost certain to me that I have the best hand, unless he's trying to get sneaky with the turn flush. And as you can see here, he tried to bluff us off with ace high. Sorry about the dogs there. If you guys could hear that, I'm sorry about that. Go ahead and raise it with ace 10. He 3-bets, and here I like a 4-bet with the pretty decent ace. He calls. I decided to C-bet on this flop, and I actually like a check back here because we have a lot of backdoor draws. We have the straight and the flush, so in order to prevent something like what just happened there with the check raise, checking back would give us a lot of options to maybe hit a card that's going to give us a draw on the turn, and then we can call 1-bet and see the river. So it will allow us to navigate through the board a lot easier than making a C-bet and risking getting check raised. Here we check to the original raiser. He checks behind, so generally when this guy is checked behind, he doesn't have a whole lot of the board. I decided to make a bet here, and then he raised. So I decided to call mainly because of the deuce and heart outs. I think a heart is very likely to be live. And then when the jack hits the river, I decided to make a bluff at the pot. I felt like I could very easily rep king 10 in my range, any number of queen 10, king 10, any of those hands with the 10 in it that I'm maybe with like the 10 of hearts that I'm trying to hit a straight or flush with on the river. Here we raise. He raises, and so we definitely want to 3-bet with ace queen. And he folds. So this guy hasn't been 4-betting. Actually, I think during the session he didn't 4-bet once. So if I ever, if you ever play someone and they 4-bet once every 35, 40 hands, generally speaking, they're going to be 4-betting with a very, very strong range, like queens, kings, aces, ace, king. Depending on the dynamics of your match, they might 4-bet after losing a big pot and reloading because they might be on tilt and they're trying to stand up to you and you're 3-betting. Here we go ahead and raise, and he calls. Definitely can get a lot of queen high, king high, jack high, ace high type hands to fold. Can't imagine we get any pocket pairs to fold, and so, which I think he would have 3-bet. So we go ahead and take that one down. This guy seems to be 3-betting anything with a generally strong range. I go ahead and check. Could raise, but this guy, he hadn't just limped on the button before, so I wanted to take a rather cautious line there. Here we have 2 overcards and a backdoor flush draw. He bets, and so I like a call here. A lot of hands we beat, like 5-6, 5-7, and a number of diamond draws. 9 is a really good card for us because it makes it less likely that he has a 9. And he bets, he overbets. So folding is fine there. Calling is fine too because we do have king high, and a lot of people underestimate the value of hands like king high. Unfortunately, he did have 6s, which is something to make note on. If he has a 2-pair like that, it's possible that he put us on a 4 or 3 and knew that it was very difficult for us to get away from such a hand, and so that's why he overbet. Okay, so he 3-bets, and I decided to 4-bet as a bluff because I've been balancing my ranges pretty nicely, 4-betting with ace queen and things like that. He decides to lead out here, and this is the first time that he had done this in this session. It did not make any sense to me. I don't see him doing any sort of lead out with a jack or anything like 8-9 or 9-10 of diamonds. So given that this is a cash game and I could reload, I decided to move all in because the play made absolutely no sense to me. I didn't see any reason for him to do that with a strong hand. So I went all in, and he managed to fold. Here I decided to check. Not a lot of hands that are going to call beat us. A lot of hands that call us are worse than ours. Here I like a check because I don't want to get raised and end up being in a tricky spot on the river should like a 10 or a king hit. I decided to check again to try and give him a chance to bluff, and he doesn't. So in retrospect, knowing that he had a flush draw, I guess he might have called a bet, but he definitely could have raised us and then fired a large bomb barrel on the river, putting us in a tough decision. So that was good pot control. Raise it up, and so he gets called, and we have a good flop. We want to go ahead and c-bet. And I believe he just folds. Yeah. I like a call or a raise here. Don't know why I folded, to be honest. Ace high is very powerful heads up, and I think that was a bad play on my part. Mistakes happen though. I generally have a very bad bias against rag aces, generally because they don't flop well. So definitely in like a 6 max or 9 max ring game, or cash game, whichever way you call it, I would generally stay away from rag aces, especially if they're not suited. If they are suited, then it's fine to see a flop with them, only because you have the chance to get the best possible flush. Here I checked back. I do have showdown with ace high and a number of backdoor outs. We flop an ace, so he goes ahead and bets. I know that the ace is going to be a hand that he attacks as a scare card, so I go ahead and call. And when he checks on the river, I'm almost 100% positive they have the best hand. So I wanted to make a large bet to try and make it obvious that I was trying to blow him off the pot. And he apparently didn't have much, so he folded. So that was the rest. That's the end of the video. We only had about a 24 hand session, so hopefully if I see this guy again, he's usually on the heads up tables a lot. Maybe I can get another video. Thanks, and I hope you enjoyed it.